we're building steep. We walk along through endless green. We walk along through endless nights, and suddenly it's all about to change. And all I could have been, and all I would have been, was lost in time. And all I could have been, and all I would have been, was lost in time.
Pure hell. I have suffered from post-traumatic stress since I was 4. That was the age I was when I was raped. I have battled depression and suicidal tendencies all my life. I turned to drugs and alcohol when I was 13, 14 years old. My first rehab was at 12 and 12 in Tulsa. I was 23 and fighting alcohol addiction at the time. A few years later, painkillers became a part of my life. I had ovarian and cervical cancer, and for a number of years we did surgery, little surgeries after surgery, and it just got to where I was constantly on narcotic pain relievers. I had a hysterectomy, and that put me into menopause when I was 32. And after that, my addiction to painkillers became worse. Within a few years, I was checking myself into Laureate in Tulsa, which I did twice in 1 year. The depression turned into a type of mania where you have incredible highs and incredible lows. And I was mixing alcohol with Lortabs. I was mixing Lortabs with other pills. Just didn't want to feel anything.
Very extreme circumstances. And that's when everything fell apart. I worked at Walmart. I had a decent job, and I lost it. I was under extreme financial burden, trying to cope with getting sober, trying to cope with losing my kids, trying to cope with facing the fact that I'm about to go to prison, not knowing whether or not I'd get my kids back or not at all. So I went to prison. I came out owing massive amounts of back pay towards child support, thinking there is no way I can do this. Thinking that everybody and God had given up on me. And I had given up on myself, almost.
Chaotic. Messed up. Well, it was fun at sometimes, but not all the time. It was always fighting and arguing and stuff like that, drinking and fighting. And that's about it.
I put living paycheck to paycheck, paying rent and bills, then spending the rest of the money. Living the wrong lifestyle, drinking and doing drugs, fighting amongst each other, getting in trouble with the law, both of us going to jail, losing our housing, our kids, and everything we own.
It was uncontrollable, sporadic, lots of drama. It was heartbreaking. There was not a time in my life through that point that I can honestly say that I was actually truly happy. I felt no love. I felt distance from not only my family, but from God. And I knew that there was a God, but I didn't know for sure. Like, I didn't know him like I know him now. Drugs. Lots of drugs. Lots of streets. I had so many times living on and off the streets that it was ridiculous. Actually claiming to have a home of my own, I couldn't do that then. I was bouncing from house to house and cooking dope, doing dope, selling drugs, methamphetamines. Anyone can recognize a rock bottom when they're on drugs, because that's what the drug is for, is to cover up that hurt, that void, that emptiness that you're feeling. And so being down on my knees with needles all in the wall before I went to 12 and 12 is nothing compared to the time when I went to that homeless shelter. And seeing children begging their moms for a pop, and their mom and dad's not doing anything. Coming in there and eating, not even knowing what they were doing. It was just sad. I think that hurt worse.
Before Dusty and I were members of the Pathway Apartments in the Getting Ahead program, we were living paycheck to paycheck, with Dusty working as a laborer at Steve's TV and myself being a stay-at-home mom raising our 3 children at the time, ages 4, 3, and 2. Dusty and I lived in a nice neighborhood on the east side of town, owned 3 vehicles, and seemed to have all the latest electronic devices. From the outside looking in, you couldn't tell we were hurting and exactly how bad it really was. Not only were our finances falling apart, so was our marriage and our relationships with our family, including our own children. Dusty and I had no idea how to manage money. Our unspoken theory seemed to be don't pay it until it has to be paid, and if it's in your pocket, spend it. Dusty and I began to argue about how, when, and where the money should be spent, how to raise our children, among many other things. We began to consider divorce after several visits from the local police department due to the severity of our arguments and just the feeling of being extremely unhappy.
In May 2010, I was taken to court by my ex-wife for reasons regarding my 3 other children who live in Ohio, 17 hours away. Knowing we had no other choice but to attend this court hearing, Heather called our landlord to tell her we would not be able to pay the rent due to the fact that we would have to use that money to get to Ohio. However, we were already one month behind, and nonetheless, she agreed to give us 1 week to pay. When we came back from Ohio, a few days later, we found an eviction notice in our mailbox. We had 30 days to find a new home. We had no idea where we were going. We had no money because we just used it all on the trip to Ohio.
So when you take away the fear, sometimes you get lazy. I really didn't care about myself, especially growing up. I was kind of treated like the Cinderella. I was the scapegoat for my family. I was physically, mentally, sexually, and verbally abused almost all my life, really. And that kills a person early on. I felt dead. I struggled a lot with suicidal thoughts. Also, several times I stopped and started self-mutilating. I've been a cutter for 12 years now, which is a long time, actually. I didn't always want to live like that. I knew that something had to change. It as soon as I was able to get away from home, actually I was not really forced out. I was a ward of the state. I went to live with my aunt and uncle, and they didn't necessarily know how to live or raise someone who had severe emotional issues. So I was actually kicked out of their house and homeless. I finally found somewhere to stay and went to a Bible school the last summer of high school, and Oklahoma Wesleyan University was really, they promoted it really heavily there, and so I actually signed up because I thought getting far away from South Dakota would be a good thing. So I hightailed it out of there. I came down to school here. I was very scared, nervous, but I made a lot of friends. I rely a lot on my personality to save me in most cases, which works pretty well. I'm blessed to have a good sense of humor. I still struggled really hard though with not having family. I felt like I didn't really have a lot of support. I had gone to counseling, but I really suffered with clinical depression. I had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and that was really taking its toll on me. I also, kind of when that came to a head, my mentor, who I loved very much, died. And I was living with her and her husband on and off for 5 years, and I didn't know what to do. I quit school, tried to find a job. It was just really, really hard. I no longer cared about my future. I felt lost.
I was homeless, didn't have a place to live, and didn't have an income to find a place to live. Found out about Vision Onward up at the hospital here in town at Jane Phillips, and there I was introduced to this transitional program that existed that was kind of new and just taken off, and met with Dawn and Melissa, went over my life story with them, and I think I was in here within a month.
We knew Jeff. We known Jeff for a while before we came here.
When he found out that I was going to jail, and when we got out of jail, he seen us and was wondering how everything was going. We explained the situation that, we were out of jail, our kids were still in our custody, but we could not have them back until we had a place to live. So he told us to get the application, fill it out, and see what he could do.
Actually, Jane Phillips Medical Center, one of the ladies there had told me about Vision Onward and told me that I would be able to apply there through the place that they were sending me to, which was the Lighthouse Outreach Center. And when I got to the Lighthouse Outreach Center, I'd asked for the application, and they gave it to me. And Barry actually is one of the people that has helped me tremendously. And he contacted me several times, and we had talked, and that's how I got in.
My mother and father-in-law, Ken and Angie Peace, gave us the name and number of Don Bush and Melissa Jenkins. Heather and I were dead set on not moving into transitional housing.
Someone had told me about it through the hospital, and also Jeff Hawley had some connections with Grace Community Church, and Celebrate Recovery had actually renovated one of the apartments. So I actually stayed in that apartment.
This program has really helped me. The repetitive structure of the classes and our meetings, they have instilled a lot of new values in my life, one of which is religion. Never been a part of my life for 40 years. In fact, I think I kind of had something against God at a very young age. never saw turning to God as an answer. Never even thought that way. But since I've been here, I've found a good church. I've been baptized. I understand what it means to be baptized.
I'm able to have my kids right now and know that we will not get put out on the streets tomorrow because I can't afford to pay the rent, or I couldn't afford to pay the electric bill. My life is different now because I don't have to worry about somebody reporting me to DHS because we're living without water or gas. My life is different now because I have dreams and aspirations of going to college and becoming something better, not only for myself, but for my kids and for other people that I can help.
I don't know, we live life and cope with our struggles and our stress without drugs, without self-medicating. You know, we look to God. We know that God is the way to everything. He solves all problems and heals all wounds. We can budget better, we can save our money. Like I said before, we paid off a lot of loan companies and a lot of other future debt. We've both got our license, paid off huge chunks of our court costs. I graduated drug court, you know, we don't have much of a law on our back no more. So as long as we stay clean and sober and stay on the right side, the right path, continue to do what we're supposed to do, you know, we've got it made.
I have peace, I have happiness, I have sobriety. I love that. And I have love. I have unconditional love. I have stability. Not only with my employment, but with this place. Stability with my spirituality.
Our lives have changed dramatically. Dusty began to read his Bible daily and take notes, ask questions, pray, help out with the kids, spend time with the kids, be more affectionate to me, and I could sense this overall calmness about him. I couldn't believe that this man that I had married 2 years earlier was the same man that I called my husband today. We began searching for a church home and are now current members at Barnesville Southern Baptist Church and starting to attend Bible study on a regular basis. Since living in the Pathway Apartments and attending the Getting Ahead classes, I have learned first and foremost that nothing is impossible with God. He helped revive our marriage, our relationships with family members, and our children. We now have morals for our children and boundaries set. Getting a help has helped us learn how to manage our money and let us see why we're here and what we could have done differently. We are still learning, but overall we are better spouses, better parents, and better friends.
Well, I'd have to say that I have a lot more structure, a little bit more discipline. Vision Onward has definitely surrounded me with knowledgeable people about financial aspects in my life, also the spiritual aspect. I don't think I've ever been more confronted on the subject of godly obedience and love and discipline. It's something that I struggle with a lot. Slowly I've been able to reestablish a relationship with God and try really hard to obey Him and not just rest on salvation, but also follow through with some lordship and have Him be the Lord of my life.
There are just so many people I don't even know where to start. The number of people that have helped me in this program and outside of this program.
Amy Trimble. She's helped me regain so much confidence, and I would have never have met her if I was not allowed to come into this program. I would have never met her. So she has helped me so much, and I'm so glad to say she's a friend, a confidant. She's a person to be respected.
I can't thank my trail guide, who's also my sponsor, Cindy, enough. She means the world to me. I love her so much, and my trail companions. When we decided to do trail companions, I wanted someone from all different aspects of life. I have someone who is really good with the money, LaDonna. I have someone who's really good with all of the insurance / student loan stuff, which I'm buried in, so that's Lori. And then I also have a spiritual advisor, mentor, Robin, who I love too. And it's just kind of with that army, plus like Melissa, Amy, Dawn, Ken, you almost feel unstoppable. And plus, of course, God. But without those pillars in place, my whole Colosseum would crumble.
My next step, besides graduating our program here at Vision Onward, is to find a place to live, for one. Also, trying to get myself into some organizations that I can participate in that fits my schedule and my interests. Besides that, I'm still working on fixing my credit and paying off some student loans.
Continue to spiritually grow, to continue my job at the Pillow Factory, and also to attend Rogers State University College, to start on my basics and eventually work my way up to a master's in psychology and associates in sociology. My dream is to become a drug rehab specialist and also a psychologist that works with troubled youth, so that way, hopefully, I can help somebody overcome an addiction and help make their life better.
To be better people, live better by making life better, by staying with God, keeping His Word in our lives, to do the best by our children and for our children, and to continue to save money to own our own home, to someday own our own home, so that we can have something to call our own.
And our kids can have somewhere to be all the time.
My next step for my future and my son's is I want to buy a home, and I want a family back. I'm working on that. It's really going awesome, so it's going good.
Heather and I hope one day to own our own home that comfortably fits our 8 children. We want to raise our children to be Christ-like and know that anything is possible with God.
I plan on, a little ways down the road, I plan on having a video production company. I'm not sure about the title yet, but one of my passions is to film and edit videos, maybe even write a script or two. There's a creative side of me that needs to be fed. So I really, really, really want to feed that because it's something that my heart longs to do. And I think you should love your job and do something that you love, and that's something that I want to do. I do plan to pay off my student loans, perhaps go back and finish college. I have about 30 hours left, and I don't necessarily know if I want to finish my English degree or go back for something in the creative arts, such as film production or something like that. But at least I know that the door is open to something like that.
Sometimes I feel like an arrow, fired something somewhere long ago. Whether it moved or I missed where I'm bound, I don't yet know. If you see me coming, I'll probably pass you by, on my way to something, somewhere, sometime.